Okay, this is the Tapestry, chapter 8. I'm going to read the first half because it's very long. Animal, vegetable, mineral, or human beings. There's nothing that quite points out the gap between human beings and all else as does verbalized communication. And there's no verbalized communication that underlines the gap more thoroughly than correspondence or letters, the printed page, the handwritten manuscript, or clay tablet that preserves ideas that were first in someone else's mind before appearing there for us to read. Relaying the past through the spoken word that depends on keen memory is a possible thing. But how fantastic it is that people were made in God's image and being able to communicate and to be communicated to through the diverse possibilities of the written word. It's staggering if you now have time to look out at the mountains or the waves of the sea, at the distant shore of a lake or bay or just a tree, just to contemplate what a human being can do with a pen, brush, chisel, pencil, typewriter, printing press, telex. We don't even know what a telex is now, right?
No.
Or computer, in enabling someone miles away or years away to communicate that what were, are, or have been the impressions generated in that human mind. What a marvel it is that human beings are not only capable of having ideas, but of verbalizing them and preserving them. Never mind whether the masses of written ideas are worth preserving through the centuries. It's just that those ducks, swans, and seagulls out there today on Lac Léman in the fog and mist could not only tell me how many generations it has been since their ancestors lived on this lake, but they have no way of preserving their abstract ideas, even if they have had them. Being human is an awesome thing. Human beings are different. Fran and I met in June 1932. It was New Year's Eve afternoon at the end of that year that Fran said goodbye to me. He had decided he was growing too fond of me, and that we'd better break up the relationship because probably the Lord wanted him to go where no woman could follow. I'm not sure just what he visualized that place to be like, nor where it might be, nor does he. We seriously parted, quote, forever. And with promise to pray for each other, we parted before supper, and he went off to his home. My tomato soup had extra salt water in it that night, and my father gruffly remarked, "Of course, no one would tell me what this is all about," and Mother patted my shoulder. As they went off for a New Year's Eve meeting at the Bela Sinwood Church, the phone rang for me, and it was a Saturday Evening Post cover artist wanting me to go with him to some girls' home with a group of others to listen to records, quote, while the new year comes in. Since I had still been dating all through that first semester of school, and since I was not going to ever see Fran again, I thought I might as well be sorrowful in the midst of people rather than all alone. However, as I was getting dressed, the phone rang again, and this time it was Fran. "I've been so miserable since I left you. I know now I can't live without you. Please, can I come down for a half hour?" He had been gone a total of 2 hours. I said yes, of course, and felt relieved that it would only be a half hour, since that wouldn't make too embarrassing a change in the evening. It was during that half hour that Fran asked if I would wait for him. It wasn't exactly a proposal, but of course it was. He sealed my answer with a kiss and then went off to see the new year in with his parents because he had promised them he'd be right back. When the artist came and we started to drive off, I announced, "Oh, by the way, in between your call and now, I've just more or less gotten engaged. I thought I should tell you." It sounded pretty ridiculous, but that was exactly the way it was. This was my last date with anyone else. I became a curiosity to the girls at school, not going to the school dances, always being, quote, alone, and in their eyes, wasting my freedom and my youth and my college life. I was doing an unheard of thing, even if I had a big diamond to flash at them, which I didn't. Just before coming to Europe in 1948 to try to diminish our number of trunks and boxes, we burned our bushel basket of letters, saving out a few handfuls without really making choices. Now we have 14 grandchildren, and 3 of them are ages that correspond to the age I was when I wrote to Fran in those years of not-so-patient waiting, often in agony of what seemed the slow passage of time. There wouldn't have been these letters if Fran's college had allowed married students. But a rule was passed just before he entered Hampton-Sydney that any student who got married would be expelled, and after his graduation, that rule was removed. Because of that waiting, these letters exist, and we can discover something of what was going on in our thinking when I was Lisby's, Margaret's, and Becky's age, and when Fran was 21, 22, and 23 successfully. Fran's very orderly way of doing things in every department of his living is evident now in the exact dates he always puts at the heading of his letters. Evidently, I felt it was more personal or cozy just to put Sunday afternoon or Monday night. But after reading through the handful of letters we saved, I can sort out fairly well the general period of time. In the following letter, written sometime late in 1933, I'm replying to a letter in which Fran has told me of how boys at school jumped all over him for something he had done, which he had then apologized for. Sunday afternoon. Fran's dear. We humans fall so far short of our ideals at times that it is discouraging, but we wouldn't want to preach that side of it. I mean, we wouldn't want to say, well, once a month it's a fine thing to break through and do something entirely opposite of what you believe is right, just because all of us do things like that. We don't want to sanction it just for the sake of preaching what you practice. We want to really preach the Christian life. And then we want to live it so far as is possible. But because we are human, we can't be perfect. That's where forgiveness comes into the picture. Forgiveness for our mistakes. I don't know whether you can read into this what I'm trying to say or not. Anyway, I think the fellows are all wrong in picking on one small slip when there is so much in your life that is parallel to your preaching. That's pretty much what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it might help your influence for them to know that a Christian is just as human as anyone else. The difference is that he has someone to go to with his mistakes and difficulties to get them smoothed out, and that instead of pulling him down, he goes on again, a bit more prayerfully and a bit stronger for having found his feet and climbed up the hill he slid down. See? That's what I think anyway, and furthermore, I think you're splendid. I know it, and I admire the way you straightened it out. I admire your courage to do it immediately, and I love you all the more for it. How's your spring? We've been having snow. Last night the trees were covered with ice, and a thin coating of snow on top made them really beautiful. However, I'd rather see red buds this time of the year. I'm going out for Grecian dancing for May Day. Practices start soon. Won't that be the nerds gliding around the grass in my bare feet? I've just been listening, with one ear, to a conference in protest of Hitler's treatment of the Jews. Stirring times, eh? 2 weeks from Thursday, I'll be seeing you. Sweet dreams, Eid. This is another Sunday afternoon in March 1933. These are sweet, aren't they?
It's so sweet.
Friends, every word of your letter struck a responsive chord in me. It was so marvelously alive, not just words. Since then, I have had feelings, emotions I never knew I possessed. I don't know how to describe it, but I've wanted to weep. That sounds contradictory, but it's true. It's not just love. It is bigger than that. It's big enough to include my love for you. But it is something more. That I should be wanted to help someone who in my mind is and will be one of the greatest servants of God, that I might share everything with him. Other people will know the wonderful man of God, the splendid person, the peach of a guy, but I will be the only one who will know him perfectly at all times and be his companion through everything. Why, friends, it seems such a perfect life to be going to live when I have done nothing to deserve it, that all I can say is God is good to allow it, perhaps even to plan it. Life is short, but there's an eternity ahead of that, and to think that through it all, you will be there. Young man, have you any faults? I think, quote, now everyone has faults. What are Franz's? And I say, now, forget that you love him. Look at it impersonally. But no matter how much I pucker my brow, nary a one can I conjure up. It wouldn't make any difference if you did have, but you don't. Being late or running the car into sand doesn't count. They're virtues that make life interesting. An adventure, you know. Yesterday I studied. I had one class to go to at 8:30, then came home and made paniche fudge, packed a box for you, and monogrammed a handkerchief to go in it, then off to do psychology work all afternoon. time out for dinner, and then chemistry experiments to write up and a notebook to do from 7 p.m. until midnight 30. This morning I was dead and still had writer's cramps and a pain in my back from sitting in one position all those hours, afternoon and evening. I made myself get up and go to church nevertheless, and was amply rewarded by a really good sermon by Dr. Bieber. As usual, I was wishing every moment that you were there, so that you could hear him too. Everything from a good piece of cake to beautiful scenes and lovely music I'm enjoying. I wish friends were here to enjoy it too. There's a new moon, a tiny sliver of a moon. Have you seen it yet? I think I'd better end here. I want to do some reading, an English play if I can find it on our shelves. I'll try to write a note in the middle of the week, but I promise you a fat one when exams are over. Ede. Page 9 of the fat one. It's a windy day with snow on the ground and cars making crunchy sounds as they go by. Little stray flakes of snow that forgot to come down last night are being spilled out now and sort of dancing around, reluctant to settle down with the rest of them. It's a nice sort of day for talking, for sitting cozily by the fire, while the wind rattles the shutters and makes weird sounds around the corners of the house and moans in the trees. It's a nice day to stay by the fire, and when evening comes, to pull a little table before the fireplace and eat baked apples from amber plates. With just the firelight and a twinkly candle in a carved brass holder, to throw lights and shadows on the face of the one you love, to stay there through the evening talking and perhaps reading a bit out loud, a bit of a favorite verse or prose, and then dreaming and feeling your hand clasped tight as the embers die out. It makes me feel all shiny inside just to think of it. Somehow today I feel very peaceful, and you seem very near. If I speak, you'll answer. I could touch you if I put out my finger. I shut my eyes and I'm sure you will be there, but no. I've been reading some of John Galsworthy's plays this weekend. Have you read his Justice? This feeling I have for you, I can't conceive of it ending. Before I couldn't see you, anything couldn't end. At least after millions of years. Now, do you understand? Your Ede. Jumping to February 2nd, 1934, and a letter from Fran. Hampton Sydney College. Baby. Greetings, my love. I love you. I wanted to be with you the last couple of days. We have had a holiday since Tuesday, 1 o'clock. And it's bad to have time with nothing to do. Wednesday we were supposed to have off, but then good old Dr. Bagby died, and so we had 2 more days off. I'm glad I had his full course last year. He was a great man, but if he had had love in his life, he would have been greater. How were the last of your exams? I hope you came through with colors flying and general satisfaction. Oh dear, I love you. I did better than I expected and got first honor roll again, unlimited cuts. My average was 91 2/3. I heard it was the best in the junior class, but I'm not sure. Greek 86, fair lady, I lay my laurels at your feet, they are yours. So my folks gave you some of my boy pictures. I'm glad you like them. He's an odd fellow, but sometimes I think I like him better than the older boy he grew into. Still, the older boy has one joy in his life that supersedes all the minor traits he has lost, or rather, I guess there are 2. An increased understanding, and the second is what I thought of first, your love. I hope we shall have such a boy, but one who will be very much better because of your share in his personality. I would like to have seen you blush when Dad called you Mrs. Schaeffer, Jr. I'll be glad to see you write it for the first time after we are married. I love you, dearest person. Cake, cake. Who has the cake? I am waiting in suspense for the arrival of your all-afternoon cake. I shall take small bites to get more kisses. I shall make the others take large bites. Dearest, wonderful person, I adore you. You are my love. I need you. Now, if this is to reach you, I must mail it right away to reach you in New Jersey. Happy holiday, Franz.
So sweet.
I know. February 2nd, 1934. Okay, come on up. Excuse me while Missy gets settled. Edith, dearest, speaking of a letter every day, here are 2 in one day. Did you get my special? Anyway, this one will say, welcome home. I hope you enjoyed yourself and feel all pepped up for your exams. I've tasted the fruits of success or something and have had a good time being important on the strength of my grades for the last couple of days. But alas and alack, what goes up must come down, and I feel a siege of the blues coming on. With all your home ec, do you know a long distance cure for such an illness? Possibly the cake, if it arrives tomorrow, will help. But the kisses brought by the cake may make me want a few of the real thing. Woe is me, I love you. There's still hope for the 16th. Art took his car in, and by some miracle they can weld the block. Cost $15. I never heard of welding an engine block, but they guarantee it, and so I expect we will be seeing you. Of course, there is a minor question of his dad paying for it and buying new New York license plates, which are due. Still, hope is high in my breast. I'm sorry the special had to be rushed. I didn't get nearly all that I wanted to say in it. This morning they told me I didn't have any mail. I went to the shop after dinner, and there was your letter with your address in New Jersey in it. 1 hour to write and 2 hours worth to say. I missed the mail but caught Mac going to town and emailed it to you. How did you like the change to baby on the special? You see how you have me wrapped around your finger? 1 word from you and I hasten to obey. Do I not, old woman? Ha ha, I love you. Did I tell you I was elected vice president of the Lit Society and secretary of the Ministerial Association? If I did, I'm not trying to make a little seem a lot by repeating. But if not, I don't want to keep any secrets from my wife. Now good night, and I wish I were kissing you, Franz. Plainfield, New Jersey, Saturday night. Dearest, there are so many things I want to kiss you about. First, your special. When the mail came at home this morning and there was no familiar scrawl for me, my heart sank to my toes, for I had wanted terribly to hear. All the way on the train to Plainfield, I thought of you, wished you were beside me. The fields were dazzling in whiteness, and soft piles of snow snuggled on the branches. Well, when I arrived, Ellen was there, all beaming to meet me. We went shopping, then to a cute tea room painted in dark wood for lunch, after which we shopped for things for dinner tonight, and came home laden with bulky parcels. The apartment house is swanky. As we opened the door, the first thing we saw was your special on the floor, and my heart went hippity-hop right up till it was soaring in the sky. Oh, I love you. Then I read it, retiring to the bathroom to do so. It is a lovely bathroom, tiled in the most heavenly shade of pale green. The letter was exactly what I needed. Thanks, darling, for coming to the rescue. My weekend is complete now. Second, your marks. They are splendid. I'm so very, very proud of you, husband. And I'm thrilled to the core to be presented with such laurels. No Greek maiden was ever more so. I love you. Then we started the dinner in the oven and went to see Dinner at 8. I was disappointed in it, after which we rushed home to get dinner for the 4 girls she had invited to meet me. Monday night, back at Ashmead Place. As you know, your letter came in Plainfield, and then this morning I wakened and bounded down the stairs and got the other letter. Then got back in bed to read the special and the new letter together. More congratulations. You deserve a telegram, but the budget won't allow it, so my congratulations this way and a kiss later. Vice President, Secretary, very fine. But don't let them overwork you. There's another association you're going to be president of, you know, and that company wants you, unworn out. I left my pen in Plainfield. Isn't that dumb? So I'm using Mother's. Sunday night, I came home just because I love to ride a train at night. I love to hear it shriek and feel it rushing through the blackness. I gave other reasons, but that was a real one. School again today. Sociology and history of education are going to require heaps of reading. I see myself spending hours in the library this spring. I'm still thinking in terms of spring, even though it is bitterly cold. This is Tuesday, and I haven't heard yet whether the cake came. I have visions of the postmaster eating it surreptitiously behind a newspaper or something. I love you. All of a sudden, I don't want to waste any more time away from you. No use talking about that thought. War, war, war. There's so much talk about it, or maybe I've been listening to the wrong programs. The international air seems full of it. Then Austria, France, Germany are getting tangled up. The good old U.S. Navy is even getting wise enough to enlarge their Navy and air fleets. It all gives me the queerest cold chills inside. I love you, dearest, dearest, Ede. Hampton, Sydney, September 4th, 1934. Dearest Edith, nothing special in the letter, old dear, but I couldn't write yesterday and I wanted to be sure this reached you Friday, so special delivery. Yesterday was the last day of rushing, and rush was right. I began at 3 in the afternoon and did not stop until 3 last night. I had everything pulling for us except Prexy and the bell tower. Now, as a parting gift to the frat, I want to give it the best trained group of goats that it has ever had since I've been in the school. I am Goat Master, and I'm going to do my best to help these new men and thus the fraternity. If I do that, and this rushing is successful, then I will feel I have redeemed myself for 3 years of nonchalance towards the frat. The hardest part is over, and then I can get down to more important things and activities. Dear Edith, here is something I want you to do for me when we are married. If I am ever slightly mad and want to join some secular organization, remind me of the fraternity and read this letter to me. Then do your best to keep me out of whatever I want to join. Even if it apparently would widen my influence, still shout this to me. No matter how good the organization is, if it is not primarily Christian, do not give allegiance to it. In a long run, its lines will cross your Christian lines, and it will also take time and energy for a lesser cause when the greatest cause needs all you have got to put into it. They are sure to throw things into your face that are contrary to your Christian life, and this can separate you from other men on a plane that is not worthy of you. You cannot be altogether faithful to your Christian work in life if you are united into brotherhoods with elaborate oaths and rituals. Sweets, please put this letter where you can always get to it and have me read it if I'm thinking of joining a society. Then we can talk it over and pray over it and decide together what is best. I enjoyed your Sunday letter very much. It helped me muchly. Your drawings and the smell of flowers brought me your overwhelming love of life. Edith, you are magnificent. How I won your love I do not know, but of the fact I am glad. You said about your not being brave. My last letter shows just how steady I am. We are non-brave when separated, but I am not afraid of our courage when we stand together. I hope my last letter wasn't too hard on you. It helped me no end to pour it out to you. Now to class. I haven't even opened a book, but I don't expect to be caught for it is a lecture course, abnormal psych. Later, okay. It was on hypnosis, and as I am studying the subject in my parallel reading for Philosophy 4, I know more about it than the fellows who had read over the lesson. The material, a sample scrap, looks interesting, but it is that and nothing more until you make it up and wear it. Then, ooh la la, I hope the eggshell satin of the silk dress overshadows the green. I don't know why, but greens do not seem to suit you. That is, as far as I am concerned. I see you remembered that by carefully explaining that there would be more eggshell than green in the dress. I adore you, dearest. You treat me well, and I do appreciate your thoughtfulness, you know. I love you. I expect to get back to you for the Hampton-Sydney Swarthmore game. I have a ride, and unless something unforeseen comes up, I'll be there. If my ride peters out, I'll bum up. I must see you then. The only trouble is that it is so far away. I don't see how I can wait. If I can get down there before, I do want you to come here. Sweets, I want to see you as soon as possible, or the fact is sooner than possible. Tomorrow would be too long. No matter what my mood, the letter that arrives each day is a constant source of strength and joy. Please do as much as you can on them. I need them. The things you do, events around you, and most of all the things and words that retell me how much you love me, I'm quite dependent on you. I find more all the time that this is so. Do you like that? I hope so, for I'll be more and more dependent on you all the rest of my life. I'll try to get radio on Fridays from 10 p.m. on. I think it will be easy. I need my other half to make this half work well. I love you, Franz. Tuesday, 5:45 p.m., waiting for dinner. Darling old person. This is Edith. How goes it at the end of another day, I wonder? And so they pass, one after another in parade, each one nearer the end of the line, and one day, friends, they'll have gone, and we'll be together truly forever. And these days of waiting should be ones of living in faith happily. If the Lord should suddenly give us all we want so much, how ashamed we'd be of the impatience. I mean, we should, knowing He can and will make it possible at the right time, be satisfied to leave it in wiser hands than ours believing it to be for the utmost happiness. I love you, dearest friends of mine, love you more than ever. I finished up the Honor Council case today, wrote the penalty, talked to Dr. Greenway, and he thought we had done the right thing. So that's that until the next case. I got a package from one of the Westminster church ladies in Newburgh today. Her husband works in the bleachery and can get ends of material free. She said to tell her what of the cottons she has that we could use. I think we can get enough for window curtains for our rooms. 'Twas nice of her. Mrs. Simpson told her that I sewed, so she thought I could use these cottons So we'll have that material for curtains, and I'll make them as soon as we have windows. Won't that be fun? It's going to be glorious to fix up a place together for our own home, isn't it? I adore you. Oh, I forgot to tell you that Sherry said she and Dot could drive me down to Hampton Sydney sometime this year. Be good to yourself for me, my own love, your Eve. Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. Friends, dear, first of all, I want you to know that I am glad to have you in God's will, to have you live the life He has planned for you, whether it be with me or not, to have Him come first, to have your love for Him supreme, to have your love fully consecrated is what I would rather have for you than anything else in the universe, even though it may leave me entirely out. It's because I love you so, because I truly love you, and don't only love you to fill my needs for companionship, etc., that I want the very best for you. There's nothing more glorious than the position you have taken, that of putting Christ first, really first. And friends, I feel that I have come to the same point. I thought I had before, but I never really considered laying you on the altar, because I felt God had given you to me, that He really meant us to be together. Now I see, not that I feel we are not meant to work together, but that He must know our love for Him comes first, that we would be willing to give up the most precious things, so that we put no ifs in our surrender. And I believe I have done this today, if never before. I'm willing to go wherever He wants me, even alone. All my life, since I have been tiny, I have wanted His will for my life. But in little things I have clung, not willing to give them up. But I have one by one given up things. Yet, as I prayed for His will, saying I would be willing to go anywhere, to the ends of the earth, I have also asked that He would give me a helpmate. When I loved and was loved by one who had the same purpose in life, I thought it was a direct answer to this prayer, and I really never faced the question of giving you up. When I got your letter this morning, I must confess I wept. Why? I wasn't sure. I knew I was glad for your decisions, yet the thing bewildered me, since I had been thanking Him for giving us this most perfect human love. There was no school this morning as we were snowed in, and I am glad for it. I could not have gone to classes until I settled this in my heart, soul, and mind, nor could I have gone weeping. I had a stormy siege. I read my Bible, prayed, read your letter again, and prayed some more. Then on my knees I gave up all for Him and told Him that if it were His will, I would work alone. And as He gave Isaac back to Abraham, so I feel we will be given back to each other. But understand, friends, it's not because I knew He would do so that I came to that point, but because I was truly willing to leave everything. If it is to be separately, we will be much more fruitful for having come to this point, knowing it is the right thing. If it is to be together, our lives will be much more fruitful for having come to this point. We will know that He does come first, and that what we tell others is not merely words, but something we have known ourselves. We will know the true meaning of the word first, as we could not otherwise have known. As for winning souls, that has always been my main desire in going into Christian work, and I'm trying now in my preparation to do a bit. But how much more I could do. I'm going to pray harder, both for souls and for courage to speak to people and for wisdom in selecting the right words to say. And now, friends, I cannot say that I feel any definite call to work alone. My heart and mind are open, but I still feel God has brought us together, that He has given us this good thing. God is a loving Father, and His goodness is wonderful. I feel He can use us together to glorify His kingdom. I feel a praise in my heart for Him, who gives His children the best. But if you ever feel definitely called to work alone, know that I have left our love in His hands. God doesn't have two right ways for us. If He did bring us together, if He does mean us to marry, then He has a work for us that can only be done together. I love you, Edith. That struggle occurred after Fran had heard Dr. Howard Taylor speak and had given his life in a fresh way for anything, Lord. And my letter was a reply to his question as to whether I felt the same. You can read between the lines. As letters go on, it is plain to be seen, we agreed that the Lord was calling us, quote, together. Okay, I'm going to stop there. That's the end.
Sounds good.
Uh-huh.
Those are so sweet.
I know.